Let's move on now to Psalm 145, a song of praise of David. I will extol you, my God and King, and bless your name forever and ever. Every day will I bless you and praise your name forever and ever. Great is the Lord and much acclaimed. His greatness cannot be fathomed. One generation shall laud your works to another and declare your mighty acts. The glorious majesty of your splendor and your wondrous acts will I recite. Men shall talk of the might of your awesome deeds, and I will recount your greatness. They shall celebrate your abundant goodness and sing joyously of your beneficence. The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in kindness. The Lord is good to all, and his mercy is upon all his works. All your works shall praise you, O Lord, and your faithful ones shall bless you. They shall talk of the majesty of your kingship and speak of your might, to make his mighty acts known among men and the majestic glory of his kingship. Your kingship is an eternal kingship. Your dominion is for all generations. The Lord supports all who stumble and makes all who are bent stand straight. The eyes of all look to you expectantly, and you give them their food when it is due. You give it open-handedly, feeding every creature to its heart's content. The Lord is beneficent in all his ways and faithful in all his works. The Lord is near to all who call him with sincerity. He fulfills the wishes of those who fear him. He hears their cry and delivers them. The Lord watches over all who love him, but all the wicked he will destroy. My mouth shall utter the praise of the Lord, and all creatures shall bless his holy name forever and ever. The last verse, Tehillat Adonai Yedaber Pi, my mouth shall utter the praise of the Lord. V'yivarech kol basar shem kadsho le'olam va'ed, all creatures shall bless his holy name forever and ever. With that ending, this particular Psalm 145, known as the Ashrei, is a psalm that is recited 3 times a day by Jews who observe the traditional prayer structure. It is recited twice during the morning service, near the beginning and near the end, and it is recited at the very beginning of the mincha or the afternoon service. My mouth shall utter praise of the Lord. That is the key verse. Uttering God's praise is the framework of Jewish prayer. And this psalm is considered to be one of the most important in terms of our liturgical or prayer framework. Now, one of the reasons I think that it is recited so often is that it is an acrostic in alphabetical order, with the first verse beginning with the letter Aleph, and then the second verse Bet, and the third Gimel, and so on. And thus it is easy to remember because of its alphabetical or acrostic structure. And also because this is the psalm that probably more than any other, or certainly close, abounds in words of praise of God, with a whole litany and a whole list of God's great qualities. And that is why it ends with that phrase, my mouth shall utter the praise of the Lord. That indeed is what the psalmist is saying here. The Talmud tells us that a person who recites Ashrei 3 times a day with regularity, namely during the morning and afternoon service, automatically has a place in the world to come. In other words, reciting the Ashrei is the ticket to paradise. You don't have to be a perfect person. You don't even have to be such a completely righteous person, or even necessarily a righteous person. You just have to say words of praise embodied in the Ashrei 3 times a day. Now, what are those words of praise? Well, here's a quick list of God's qualities and characteristics described in this psalm. Greatness, mighty acts, majesty, awesome deeds, beneficence, goodness, grace or graciousness, compassion, slow to anger, namely even-tempered and patient, abounding in kindness, merciful. Once again, majesty is repeated several times. God's majesty, God's kingship, supporting all who stumble, makes all who are bent stand straight. In other words, uplifts the downtrodden, providing us with food, giving us according to our needs, beneficent and faithful, near to all of us, to all those who call upon God, fulfilling our wishes, watching over us, and hearing our prayers. That is a long list of certainly of great qualities. The psalmist naturally recognizes, as do we, that no one human being can attain all of these qualities. Only God, in God's perfection, in God's infinite wisdom and being and holiness, can embody all of these qualities. And so we say these things 3 times a day, and according to the Talmud, gain our ticket to the world to come by doing so, because we are reminded that none of us is perfect, only God is. But by reflecting on God's perfection, we can do more to grow ever close to that ideal. I record this video clip today on Election Day 2020. Bearing this important and great and wonderful psalm in mind, we would do well to remember that no matter where we stand on the political spectrum, whether red, whether blue, whether independent, in the middle, whether fluctuating or moving between one or the other, we would do well not to put all of our hope in kings, in earthly rulers, in politicians. Naturally, whoever wins, we hope, will do their best for our country rather than for themselves, and will keep in mind the interests of the citizens of our country and those who visit us and who are staying here, who are sojourners and immigrants and people seeking refuge from countries of oppression. That whoever wins will keep their needs in mind and all of our needs in mind for the good of our citizenry rather than for the purpose of gaining more and more power and control to lord it over others. This psalm reminds us there is only one master and Lord of all the universe, who in God's perfection we emulate by trying to lead a good life, a productive life in which we offer service to one another in order to help and support each other, and especially to be mindful of those who are downtrodden, those who stumble, to help them stand straight, to give them hope. And those are some of the ideals that we aspire to now. But no one human being, whether president, whether king, can achieve all these things. Only God can achieve all these things if we keep God in the front and center of our minds each and every day. Thank you.